नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों। स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से हमारे YouTube चैनल ब्रास फ्यूजन्स पर, जहां हम आपके लिए एक बार फिर से लेकर आए हैं एक नया लेसन।
And let's look and see how we follow the aid and advice when it comes to Union Territory. Now, just before this class, I posted 2 new judgments in our classroom. And for those of you who are not in the classroom, let me tell you what these are. After the 5-judge bench decision, the judgments of Justice Deepak Mishra for himself and 2 others, then the concurring judgment of Justice Chandrachud and Ashok Bhushan, Justice Ashok Bhushan. In last year, once again the matter was there in the Supreme Court because the 5-judge bench laid down the broad ratio of how we interpret Article 239 AA Clause 3, Clause 4 and the proviso for us. But the actual dispute which was pending in High Court and for which the appeal was pending and the contempt matter was still pending in Supreme Court. So last year we have another Supreme Court judgment titled Government of NCT Delhi versus Union of India, which has a very simple question. Who has the power to appoint public prosecutors in Delhi? Is it the Lieutenant Governor? If it's the Lieutenant Governor, is it to be on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers of Delhi, or is the Lieutenant Governor to be guided by the aid and advice of the Central Cabinet? And that judgment came out in 2019. That's the link that I've posted in the classroom. And for those of you who are not in the classroom, then let me just post it here on the chat box. So this is the 2-judge bench, which is worth reading because it summarizes the 5-judge bench and gives you the ratio. So look at this one. And I've also posted what, in my opinion, is a very important judgment for us to read, which is the key judgment on pardon powers under. The second one is Kehar Singh versus Union of India. And this is dealing with Article 72, which I hope to begin today, time permitting. So what we are going to do now is to understand the ratio of the 5-judge bench in 2018, which has laid out the broad principles on which the Article 239 AA should be interpreted. And what we're going to look at is, because this is a constant running problem, because we know that the government of NCT Delhi is not a state. Delhi is not a state. It continues to be a union territory, but this extremely unique position. And at all times, there is tension between the Delhi government and the LG, Delhi government and the Union of India. And therefore, it keeps coming up again and again. And the court has dealt with important issues like constitutional morality, cooperative federalism at the meta level, and then they have come down to actual brass tacks and interpreting Clause 3 and Clause 4 of 239 AA. Now, I had requested 2 of you to prepare the judgment in Government of NCT Delhi versus Union of India. This is the 5-judge bench 2018 judgment. Who are they, please? Who is ready with the judgment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
Abhishek and who else? I had asked 2 people.
Yes, ma'am. Abhinav Dwivedi.
Abhinav and Abhishek. Very good. Now, have you coordinated amongst yourselves, or are you each of you ready independently?
Independently, actually, I'm not coordinated.
You've not coordinated. Fine. Perfect. So, now if Abhishek, you can just tell us is there an actual dispute in this particular 5-judge bench case, or has the court only laid down the broad parameters and left the actual dispute to be decided by a smaller bench?
Ma'am, the actual dispute we can clearly see in the Justice Bhushan's judgment, while in the very tells what the issue is, that the aid and advice as used in Article 239 AA or has to be given the same meaning as contained in Article 163 and Article 74 is the question to be answered. That is the
Okay, so
precise.
let me ask a more specific question, okay? And I request all the other students to sort of listen in and also follow the constitution, because what I'm trying to find out is through this question and answer that it gets a little clearer. Now, is the union territory of government of NCT Delhi, is it a state or is it a union territory? Let's start from the very basic. Abhishek.
Ma'am, it is a union territory,
Okay.
but in the very judgment, it has been clearly marked by different or by the justices that all the union territories are on a different pedestal and
Yes.
they are sui generis in themselves. So we have to take all the union territories as unique in themselves.
Okay, so when we say it is sui generis, what the court is trying to say is, and this derives from the NDMC 9-judge bench decision, that each one arises in itself and is a model unto itself. So we cannot look at Pondicherry, Puducherry and say what Delhi is. We cannot look at Delhi and look at Lakshadweep and say, things like that, Andaman Nicobar. Each one is separate in itself. Fine. Second question that I have, and I have this to Abhinav Vivedi. If we look at articles 239, हाँ जी, 239.
अभी हुआ नहीं ना मेरा
अच्छा कौन
दीदी खाना खा
है?
लो।
मुझे अपना माइक जरा बंद करें, डिस्टर्ब कर रहा है। हाँ जी, थैंक यू. Now look at 239 3A, and what I want to know is from you, Abhinav. It says except for entries 1, 2 and 18 of the state list, the Legislative Assembly and the Council of Ministers have both legislative power and executive power. However, when you read Justice Deepak Mishra's lead judgment, he also talks of entries 64, 65 and 66 of the state list. Okay, so when you look at Article 239 3A, it mentions both 1, 2, 18 and 64, 65, 66 of the state list. Both are of the state list. What is it that the 5-judge bench tells us is the relationship between 64, 65, 66 and entries 1, 2 and 18? 1 is law and order, 2 is police, 18 is land. What is the relationship between 1 to 18 and 64, 65, 66 of list 2? Yeah, Abhinav, please tell us. Abhinav? Otherwise, Abhishek, tell us, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Abhishek. What is the relationship between 64, 65, 66 and entries 1, 2 and 18 in list 2? What are we interpreting under 239 AA 3A? Okay. Yeah, tell us. Okay, let me make myself a little clearer both to Abhishek, Abhinav as well as the rest of the class. Look at 239 capital A 3A, and anybody can answer based on this. Subject to the provisions of this constitution, the Legislative Assembly shall have power to make laws for the whole or any part of the National Capital Territory with respect to any of the matters enumerated in the state list or in the concurrent list, insofar as any such matter is applicable to union territories, except matters with respect to entries 1, 2 and 18 of the state list, and entries 64, 65, 66 of that list insofar as they relate to entries 1, 2 and 18. So what is the difference between 1, 2 and 18 on the one hand and 64, 65, 66 on the other hand with respect to the state list? What is this saying? Anybody?
Ma'am,
Yes, Anjali. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Ma'am, in this 64 and 65 and 66, the union government has a power to appoint but not the state government. In the 60, ma'am, in the section anti 64 states that institution for specific or technical education financed by the government of India, wholly or partly declared by parliament by law to be instituted of national importance.
No, we're looking at 64, 65, 66 of the state list.
So,
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yeah. Who is that? Who wants to?
Ma'am, Mitansh.
Mitansh, yes. Tell us what exactly does it mean? Why is there a 1 to 18 on the one hand, 64, 65, 66 on the state list? Yes.
Ma'am, I did not get much, but what I could infer is this. 1 to 3 talks about public order, police, and land.
Land, yeah.
And what 64, 65, 66, the 64 is also about law.
Offenses.
Offenses against laws. Ma'am, these are somehow relating to the first 2 and 18 part.
Okay.
If we match it. Ma'am, see, 65 gives the power of all courts.
And 66?
Fees in respect of any matters.
Okay. So what does AA3A actually indicate? In absolute terms, the state government or the state legislative assembly has no power over entries 1, 2 and 18. Law and order, police and land, they have no power. But their power with regard to 64, 65 and 66 is partial. Insofar as it relates to 1, 2 and 18, they have no power. But insofar as it relates to any other matter, the state legislature has the power. So, for example, if it is a matter relating to jurisdiction of courts with regard to some matter relating to the police, then the state legislative assembly will not have the power. But if it is pertaining to some other matter covered either by the state list or the concurrent list, then they shall have the power. So now go back and look at 239 AA3A. It says that with respect to the matter, they shall have powers with respect to the matters enumerated in the state list and concurrent list, insofar as such matters is applicable to union territories, except with regard to matters entries 1, 2 and 18 of the state list, that there is a complete ban. They are completely excluded from Delhi Legislative Assembly and therefore executive power of the government. So it is excluding the legislative power, and as students of law we know it also means that executive power over those 3 areas of Delhi police, law and order and land excluded. However, when it comes to entries 64, 65 and 66, insofar as they relate to entries 1, 2 and 18, if there's an overlap between these entries and 1, 2 and 18, then their power stands excluded. But if it does not overlap, then legislative power is there, and consequently, because we know that executive power is coextensive with legislative power, they also have executive power in place. So when my question was, what is the relationship between 1, 2 and 18 on the one hand and 64, 65 and 66 on the other? What I expected as an answer was, with regard to entries 1, 2 and 18, there is no legislative power or executive power on the part of the Legislative Assembly of Delhi or the government of NCT of Delhi. With regard to 64, 65 and 66, it's not a blanket exclusion. It is only excluded insofar as they overlap with 1, 2 and 18. So 1, 2 and 18 stands on a different footing from 64, 65 and 66. You will have to see in each case, is there an overlap or not. The case that I posted today, which is the 2-judge bench decision of the Supreme Court, who has the right to appoint special prosecutors? Who has a right? And they tell us that with regard to certain laws, for example, the Electricity Act, if the jurisdiction of the court is taking up a dispute under the Electricity Act, then This is an entry under entry 65, jurisdiction of the court. But Electricity Act is not overlapping with law and order or police or land. In this regard, the power of the Delhi government and the Delhi Legislative Assembly will be just as if it were a state government. But with regard to other matters where there is an overlap, their powers would get reduced. That's really what the lead judgment of Justice Deepak Mishra is telling us. And if you're still a little confused about what I have stated, I suggest you go back to the 5-judge bench decision in Indian Qanun or in SC because we've edited it. And Justice Deepak Mishra, in a very beautifully elaborate way, he has laid down his conclusions and right, Mansi, I agree with you. Okay. Now, let's come now to a next question. We have seen that there is going to be a government which will aid and advise the Lieutenant Governor. Now, the position of the LG, is there any independent power that the LG has? That's my question to Abhishek and Abhinav. Is there any independent power that the LG has? Or is he, on the one hand, bound by the aid and advice of the government of NCT Delhi, and on the other hand, bound by the aid and advice of the president? Is there a third area over which LG has any independent power or not? Or is he bound by aid and advice of GNCTD and aid and advice, on the other hand, of the president? Yes, those of you who've read the judgment, but Abhinav and Abhishek, who wants to answer this? Yes, Abhishek.
Yes, ma'am. LG has the discretionary power. It is explained in the judgment of Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, where in section 41 of the GNCTD Act, he mentions matters in which Lieutenant Governor to act in his discretion. And those areas are which the Lieutenant Governor shall act in his discretion in a matter, one which falls outside the purview of the powers conferred on the Legislative Assembly, but in respect of which powers or functions are entrusted or delegated to him by the President, or in which he is required by or under any law to act in his discretion or to exercise any judicial functions.
Okay.
And he has further in para 399, he has clearly said that there are two classes of discretions or classes of matters. The first consists of those which are outside the powers conferred, the same one conferred upon the Legislative Assembly, but in respect of which the President has delegated powers and functions to the Lieutenant Governor. And the second category consists of those matters which the Lieutenant Governor is required to act in his discretion by or under any law or under which he exercises judicial or quasi-judicial functions. These are the two categories.
Okay, so let's understand what Abhishek has just explained to us. When you read the judgment of Justice Chandrachud, the concurring judgment, my question was, is it that the LG is on the one hand bound either by the aid and advice of the government of Delhi? When is he bound by the aid and advice of the government of Delhi? In those areas where executive power extends over the Legislative Assembly of Delhi. Because we know the executive power is coextensive with legislative power. That is, all those matters in state list and concurrent list except 1, 2 and 18, absolutely, and partially over 64, 65, 66, insofar as it overlaps with 1, 2 and 18. Over this area of legislative power, the GNCTD has also executive power. Over this area, they shall aid and advise, the LG. Second, the governor, the LG, under the proviso to 239 AA 4, okay, there is the proviso. And that proviso tells us that the LG can, in certain matters, and that's my third question, what is meant, which are those areas, but what is it that he can do if it is that matter, which is that certain matter? Then the LG can decide to seek the aid and advice of the president. Okay, look at that proviso, and then you will see why I have asked the question that I have asked. Look at the proviso. 239 capital A 4 tells us there shall be a council of ministers consisting of not more than 10% with the chief minister at the head to aid and advise the LG in exercise of his functions in relation to matters with respect to which the Legislative Assembly has power to make law, except insofar as he is or by any other law to act in his discretion. So, where executive power of the Chief Minister of Delhi extends, the LG is bound to take the aid and advice, except where by law he is to exercise his own discretion. Which is that law? The 1991 GNCTD Act, Section 41 tells us that there are two areas where he will exercise his discretion, which Abhishek has just told us what those two areas are. Where one, President has delegated the powers to the LG and LG will act on his own discretion. He was bound initially by the aid and advice of the President, but now he has been delegated the power. He doesn't need to listen to the Chief Minister of Delhi at all. Second is where under any law he exercises judicial or quasi-judicial functions. These are these two positions where he has discretion. In other matters where he is bound by the aid and advice, he will be bound by the aid and advice of the Chief Minister of Delhi. And what are those areas over which the Chief Minister has powers, which is coterminous or coextensive with the powers which the Legislative Assembly of Delhi has power to make law? What is that? We've already seen it under subclause 3, which is 1 to 18 absolutely excluded and 64, 65, 66 to the extent of overlap with 1, 2 and 18. Fine. Now I asked you a third option. Where is he bound by the aid and advice of the President? Ya to yahan, ya this. Is there an area where it is not in his discretion, nor he is bound by the aid and advice of the Chief Minister of Delhi and the Council of Ministers of Delhi, is there a third area where he's bound by the discretion of the President? And that discretion of the President, Abhishek or Abhinav, where do we find that? Where he's bound by the aid and advice of the President. Which is the provision where we find that? Abhishek? Look at the proviso to 239 AA4. Look, I can't make it easier. This is a hard technical section and it is at the heart of Delhi politics. It is at the heart of this politics. There's no easy way out. You have to jump in. It's a full alphabet soup there. A, 3A, B, 1, 2. You just have to understand what I'm following. I can't make a story out of it. It is hard technical law and we have to understand it. Look at the proviso. Provided that, I'm looking at the proviso to 239 AA4, okay? Provided that in the case of difference of opinion between the LG and his ministers on any matter, okay, I'm going to come back to this. The LG shall refer it to the President for decision and act in accordance with the decision given by the President. Look at the difference of wording here. Not aid and advice of the President, but the decision of the President. What political difference do you see between the LG on the one hand being bound by the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers of Delhi and under the proviso where there's a difference between LG and the Chief Minister, referring it to the President and then being bound by the decision of the President? In legal terms, what is the difference between being bound by aid and advice and being bound by the President decision? Okay, President acts on the aid and advice of the central union ministers, fine. But my question was slightly different. Is there a difference between being bound by the decision of the President and being bound by the aid and advice of the What do you mean chauvinistic? Which COM are you talking about? No, COM of which Council of Ministers, Delhi or Union? Be clear. Don't make vague statements like this.
मैम
हाँ, बोलिए.
यूनियन
हाँ,
मैम यूनियन काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर
हाँ, फिर वो लिखते हैं ना. You can't just say COM and get away with it.
सॉरी मैम
Exact when you write. Okay. Now the decision, which means aid and advice, has a possibility of not taking that aid and advice. We've already seen it when we looked at Article 74. Even the president has one opportunity to resile from or to go away from the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. However, if they again send the file back, the president is bound. So aid and advice has a little more of the flexibility. Ek baar, once it can be free. But when you say in the proviso that he shall refer it to the president for decision and act according to that decision, that means exactly, Donika, that decision is final. He is completely subordinate to the president at that point in time. It's not like executive wing and the legislative assembly or the LG are referring and then he can take away and say no. He is completely subordinate to the president. So the use of the word decision. Therefore, my question was a trick question. I said, was he ever bound by the aid and advice of the President of India? And the answer is never. He is only bound by the decision of the President of India. He is bound only by the aid and advice. Okay. And now look at the lesser quality of the aid and advice. Normally, when you are dealing with Article 74 or 163, where there is a Council of Ministers of the Union or Council of Ministers of the state, you can take your aid and advice. And 74 gives you one chance to say, I don't agree and refer it back. And then it comes back again, which means that there is a scope of presidential discretion.
नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों। स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से हमारे YouTube चैनल ब्रास फ्यूजन्स पर, जहां आज हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं एक नया लेसन।